It's about stories.
It's about things breaking apart.
It's about energy. It's about fireworks.
They're all about transformation.
It's a remix.
It's about magic. It really is.
What are we stealing? Well, that's a good question. So at the most basic level, we're taking this music that's been written for an orchestra or for any other combination of instruments, turning them into piano trio arrangements. We're making them our own.
It's stolen because we want to challenge that sense that here's the sacred composer text, we mustn't touch it.
How sacred is the text really? Like, he may have chosen to do it this on the day that, it ended up being what it ended up being, but on another day he might have done it differently.
I personally don't feel that we're transgressing against the composers by doing these arrangements. I mean, a lot of them made arrangements themselves. Ravel was famously an amazing orchestrator. Some of these works started out as piano works and then were turned into these magnificent orchestral pieces. He also did the opposite. Some works started out as orchestral pieces, he then reduced them for piano. So by transforming them into piano trios, it's very much in the mould of what he was already doing. And so we start with this score that's just extremely busy, extremely dense, because we're trying to fit 100 instruments within 3, and all of us are playing all the time and jumping from one thing to another. And then we have to turn it really into piano trio music. We throw the piece through a prism and see how the light splits into different colours and pick what we end up having to pick which colours we feel are more defining of this piece.
What we're trying to do is trying to reimagine the piece as if it's really written for the trio and make it ours, so that it's in our voice, our way of playing.
It's all about image. The faun and, the nymphs and whatever they may or may not get up to in the summer. And then the broken brooms and Dukas and Laval spinning and spinning out of control. Schoenberg, which is pretty much word for word this like very, very heavy emotional poem. For me, imagery is what seems to lend itself best. I guess if you look at all the pieces that we're playing, there's a sort of inner transformation of the characters that appear. They're not quite the same as they were at the beginning.
In a way, we discovered what it means to play piano trio more because we were invited to ask questions on how to make this sound like something else, which I think essentially what music has to be about. That it needs to not sound like the piano or the violin, but it needs to sound like moonlight. It needs to sound like guilt, shame, forgiveness, love, transcendence. This metaphorical way of performing is sort of our artistic essence.
I'm a different musician because of this. And my personal experience with being a classical musician is that I'm not sure where my boundaries are. You know, do I take off my nail polish? Do I cut my hair short? Do I present a certain way? And through this project, and many other things that this trio does, mainly through this trio, I've learnt that, like I said at the beginning, is there a limit? Probably not.